friends, we're pleased today to have Richard Stowe with us. Richard is going to talk to us about one of my pet projects, which is light pollution. When I had an amazing experience a few years ago after we had those hurricanes and there was no electricity for miles and miles around. And I went outside, and it's the first time I've ever seen in the United States the sky with no ambient light. And it looked like a fairyland out of Disney. Every nook and cranny of the sky was just sparkling with stars. It was awesome. And only place else I saw that was in Africa, when you're out in the desert and there's no ambient light, and they talk about African skies, and that's the only other time I've seen it. So I know that turtles are disturbed by light, etc. Anyway, there is this thing going on, the project, initiative in this area called Dark Skies. And Richard is going to talk to us about it.
Thank you. Okay, I'm Richard Stowe, and I'm actually one of the co-founders of Dark Sky Lake Worth. It started when we screened a movie called The City Dark. The first time we screened it, and there a sign-up sheet was passed around. People were interested in starting the group, and one that was Joanne Golden, and then another member of the audience, Alice McCall, and really got excited about this. She personally had breast cancer herself, so she saw the tie between light pollution and breast cancer, and so she was passionate about it, and we have since become a member of the International Dark Sky Association. We're probably the smallest official chapter of IDA, because our limits are the city limits. So Dark Sky Lake Worth is not Lake Worth out at 441, but it's actually city limits Lake Worth. When you live in Lake Worth, anybody else? Okay. So International Dark Sky Association was founded in 1987 by someone dear in heart to Lisa, David Crawford, an astronomer at Kitt Peak National Observatory in Tucson. He co-founded it with another individual. They incorporated it as a 501c3 in 1988, so any contributions, any future contributions may give to that organization is fully tax deductible. It was, early on they talked about the threats to birds, to sea turtles, insects, the disruption of the circadian rhythms, including in humans, and that the unfortunate byproduct of that, which is the suppression of melatonin. And melatonin is something the body produces while you're sleeping at night, and fights various cancers or things that are wrong, with your body. It wards off disease. The IDA, has built up a membership. One of the early members was Bob Cralin, who wrote a children's book called "There Once Was a Sky Full of Stars." So if you ever have any family members or friends, you want to give their child a really informative book, but delightful to read and look at, I recommend it.
What's it called?
It's called "There Once Was a Sky Full of Stars" by Bob Cralin, and that's Crelin. Of course, there's been much more detailed and scientific literature written on this topic. published in Journal of New England Medicine, you know, many different sources. But one of the books that is a good, like, overall topic is called The Ecological Consequences of Artificial Night Lighting. And that's written by Rich and Longacre. Well, as the membership for IDA grew and they started having annual meetings, and those grew, they set new standards to try and allow communities and to really differentiate themselves from those who were not aware. And that was, they set up the International Dark Sky Designated Places. And, that includes national parks, et cetera, et cetera. But in particular of interest to y'all, wherever you live, is there is International Dark Sky Community designation. So, for example, in California, a small community called Borrego Springs has reached that designation.
How?
By following, there's a set of prescribed actions that take place that the community has to, like, go through some hoops to, qualify. And it's spelled out in detail on the IDA website, which is darksky.org. And a second item that has had profound impact on the lighting industry in terms of the type of products they offer to the general public is what is called the Fixture Seal of Approval for dark sky friendly fixtures. So again, that has certain specifications as to where light spill and downward light, and in December of 2014, something really significant took place. And I'll backtrack and tell you why. But what happened there with regard to this fixture seal approval, the IDA set a new standard for correlated color temperature for dark sky friendly fixtures.
What does that mean?
Okay, color temperature it's a spectrum of light and along difference, like on the high end of that spectrum, and it's measured in kelvins, Kelvin. So on the high end of the kelvins, which is the 4, 5, 6,000, that's really high, 6,000 kelvins, you have bluish white light. On the lower end of the spectrum, it's warmer tones. It's more amber or red. And as you might logically conclude, like sunset and sunrise have the redness. The midday sun is much more emblematic of that blue-white light. Over the past 20 years, there has been really a measurable technological advances in lighting design. If you remember, a number of, I don't know, I would say about that time, 15, 20 years ago, the lighting industry first came out with compact fluorescents to substitute for the incandescent bulbs. The incandescent bulbs are not, as you know, 95% heat and 5% light. So that means 95% of the energy that's consumed by, these light bulbs are not task oriented. You don't turn on a light to heat your house. Okay? So they felt by switching to compact fluorescence, it was a little bit more efficient. Compact fluorescence had a minor problem in that it had some pollutants that were embedded in necessary to create the fluorescent light. But more than that, they really were just surpassed by LEDs in terms of efficacy. The just using a lot less energy to produce the same or more light. And
does that mean the incandescent lights are more harmful than the old bulbs?
Incandescents are the old bulbs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there's incandescent old bulbs, compact fluorescence.
Compact, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Compact fluorescence.
Circular thing.
Yeah.
They're more harmful than the...
So the emissions that come from a coal-fired power plant, which we have a number of across the globe, they put out these same pollutants that the compact fluorescents put out. So the answer is, on balance, there's much less environmental impact by using the compact fluorescents because it means that much less coal-fired power, theoretically that much less coal-fired power plant
You mean
is
using the
needed.
LEDs?
No, we haven't got to LEDs. So that anyway, so it was a step in the right direction, but it had some problems. Now LEDs have come along. They use less energy than the compact fluorescents, and they last longer. They have a much longer lifetime. So instead of lasting 10,000 hours, it's 50,000 hours. That's rule of thumb. Don't quote me on that. And the problem with the LEDs, it turns out, is the way they're designed, especially when they're initially designed, they're highly blue light oriented. Okay, so blue rich white light. And
didn't they know that when they were designing it? That just bugs me. Come on. I mean, don't they know ahead of time? Don't the researchers get into it and say, hey, this is cheaper, let's use it, so what, it's blue light?
Well, I mean, there's like a minority of people who have the sensitivity that these astronomers and then astronomers, environmentally friendly people with the Dark Sky Association. There are many other people who it's like business as usual. So,
but I just want to know: do they know it's harmful? The ones that are for process.
They do now.
They do now, but they didn't know when they were designing.
I know that they do now because, again, because of this Dark Sky seal of approval. What's happened when this monumental event took place in December 2014, where the IDA said we will no longer accept fixtures that have a correlated color temperature of greater than 3,000. That knocked out a big part of the market, okay? And as a result, now the manufacturers are coming in with 3,000 and under in very rapid order. And in fact, they did that a bit on their own in terms of the light bulb replacement, because they found that the blue temperatures were not selling well at the Home Depots, and they redesigned them where when you mostly walk into Home Depot now, you get a 2700 Kelvin LED bulb.
Who passed this legislation?
It's not passed.
Last December.
It's a non-profit organization. Here, this is yours.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it was sort of with the organization.
Yeah, which has
Okay.
a lot of board members who have a scientific background, especially in these areas of lighting. They're in the business themselves, and so they were able to like put together precise standards to achieve their goals.
So when you go to buy in the store, are the packages marked with the Kelvins on them? So
They
you
are.
know?
Okay, I think you'll find the LEDs have superior characteristics over the compact fluorescents. I didn't mention that earlier. The compact fluorescents, I think they have certain wave activity that can make it difficult for people to do tasks, read. So
I should be looking for a lower.
Yes, you should be looking for like I'd say 2700K lights. There's some. It's adequate for and reasonable, I think, for what's available right now. That's what's available, and it's better than the higher Kelvins.
I'm used to buying bulbs in terms of wattage,
Mm-hmm.
and I find
So they have the way they mark these is they'll do it they actually use much fewer watts, but they'll say 60-watt equivalent, referring to the incandescent bulbs that people are very familiar with. So 40-watt is marked on the package, and they're talking about the equivalency of what the traditional incandescent bulb would be. So anyway, what happened is the reason the blue-white light, some of the reasons there's great concern about this blue-rich white light, is it increases glare, which is obviously problematic for older adults. Secondly, it creates sky glow.
Excuse me?
Sky glow.
Scott.
In, 5 times brighter than existing high-pressure sodium street lights. So I'm talking about so they're starting to install these lights, the LED lighting in cities throughout the U.S. and England, across the globe. And the sky glow for the equivalent lumens is 5 times what it was for the traditional high-pressure sodium. And then it also exhibits the greatest disruption of circadian rhythms. Again, circadian rhythms is what's necessary for melatonin production. It's like during the day, you actually need the blue-rich white light, i.e. the sun,
But the sun, not artificial.
Well, no, you can have artificial blue-rich white light during the day. That's not a problem. It's at night, when you need at most the amber or red lights, to have a healthy sleep.
It actually conflicts with your brain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Create a red light district.
that is exactly what's needed.
Isn't that in Germany?
Amsterdam.
Oh, Amsterdam.
So anyway, the city of one of the biggest pushes the Lake Worth, Dark Sky Lake Worth has been focused on is making changes in the city, within the city of Lake Worth. We were fortunate that on Earth Day in 2014, we were able to utilize the parish hall at St. Andrew's Episcopal Church to screen The City Dark. And I write that down. That's a movie definitely worth seeing. There's
Could you repeat it?
The City Dark. And we had a very nice turnout, about 35 people who viewed that movie that day, and we wanted to thank the church, so we asked them if we could donate some dark sky compliant light fixtures on the outside of their building, and they allowed us to donate 2. And so if you want to see like an official dark sky light fixture, just go to the parish hall on Palmway, North Palmway, and Lucerne. And look, as you're looking in, you'll see a brass fixture just as you're going up the stairways, and then the light above it is a wall pack that is full cut off. And normally wall packs, you'll see them on industrial buildings. You'll see them everywhere, but especially industrial buildings, they're pretty hideous in terms of their sky glow effect. So,
Are those motion censored?
They actually keep the decorative fixture. There was a jelly jar there before, and this is the brass fixture is decorative. It's very attractive. They keep that off most of the time, and they only have the wall pack on in the evening. We started contacting the city about, this opportunity to have, higher quality, full cutoff lighting, dark sky compliant lighting, and in the process found out that the city was in contract with a multinational corporation, Siemens, out of Germany, to do lighting for the entire retrofit for the whole entire city street light, city and state street lights. So both in the residential neighborhoods and the state highways.
Are they compliant, the ones that the new ones that they're contracting for?
Well, that's very interesting because, again, in December, this change took place where the IDA required a lower color correlated temperature, 3,000 Kelvin or lower.
Mm-hmm.
And we were working with the city, and they were not even aware, Siemens was not aware that this new requirement was part of the dark sky friendly fixture seal of approval, and so they had planned for 4,000 Kelvin, and they were very resistant. We brought in the marine conservationists at Gumbo Limbo Nature Center, who is a highly regarded person with knowledge on sea turtles and the effects of artificial light on sea turtles' health. And he came and spoke about the problems with the LED blue rich white light, and it was kind of stunning to Siemens. In fact, this is the last part of my presentation. I'm going to share with you what we found out in December of 2014. The presentation we gave to the city, city manager and Siemens, was on January 9th, 2015. But in December, much to our surprise, we found out that the city of Davis had entered into a contract.
Davis or Davies?
Davis, D-A-V-I-S.
Where's that?
California.
Oh.
And it is a university town, University of California, Davis. It's a very interesting town in terms of is known to have the highest percentage of bicycling as transportation. They have a big network of off-road bike trails adjacent to the city streets, and they'd entered this contract in December of 2012. At first they had like a number of energy saving. Siemens was trying to pitch them on a number of energy-saving plans. Each plan obviously is a little additional incremental monetary benefit to Siemens. But the city of Davis really rejected all the other energy efficiency elements that were originally considered because they weren't that efficacious in terms of their bottom line. So they still decided to move forward with the LED lighting contract. They did some testing of it with a few different bulbs. They selected a 27-watt bulb, and they in January of 2014 they signed the contract to move forward with actually installing lighting citywide. And in May they actually began the implementation of that installation. They got through half of the installations by or before June of 2014, and there was a revolt among city residents. Davis is the second most educated community in the United States.
Stanford University.
Is that the first?
I think so.
Okay, so
That
Davis.
area, I think so.
Yeah, so Davis is second most, and so there were a lot of smart people, and it turned out one of the firms located in Davis is Benya Burnett. It's a lighting design firm, and James Benya is on and has been on the board of IDA for quite a while. And in June there was a city council meeting where they allowed the public to vent on their dismay with the lights that have been installed, and the mayor and council voted to halt the project and go in and study what would be suitable for city residents. And so this time they brought lighting. Not only they had the 4,000 Kelvin lighting, blue rich white lighting, and then they tried like some color temperatures below that, as low as 3,000 Kelvin, which, as I just stated, is now the minimum standard for dark sky compliant. And they found two things. One, and the study took place in August 13th through the 24th, 2014, and it was publicized through press releases, the city's Facebook page, Twitter page, Nextdoor. 124 people responded online, and what they found was, of the people who responded, that as the color temperature went down, favorability ratings went up. And more interestingly, as the wattage went down, favorability ratings went up. So what had caused this maelstrom was the combination of the wattage and the color temperature. And these 27 watts were actually, I think they were 2 or 4 of them, they were paired bulbs. So you didn't just get one 27 watt bulb, you got a couple of them. So there was an intensity of LED diodes that was just hugely aggravating to the general public. And so this study was undertaken by Siemens, by the city staff, and most interestingly, the University of California Lighting and Technology Center. It just so happens that the lighting experts in the University of California system, which is has 10 campuses, the experts in this statewide were located in Davis. This was like just a huge upside for the city to have that kind of expertise.
Did they say specifically what the complaints were?
Glare, sort of a moon, like a moonlight, it's like having like something greater than a full moon like every night, like
Too bright.
very close to you. Yeah. So the city then voted based on the results of the public, the online, preferences, and the expertise provided by this group, by the CLTC, California Light and Technology Center, Benya Burnett, the firm that they gave a presentation in June about the problems. They concurred, along with city staff, that they should actually order lights that were lower than what they tested. So they had 3,000 Kelvin, 19 watt was the lowest they tested, 3,000 Kelvin, and they ended up ordering 2,700 Kelvin. That was not available. That's just showing you how quickly things are moving in terms of the technology and the actual application of that technology. The 2,700 Kelvin LED streetlights were not available in August when the testing took place. And now the city of Lake Worth went ahead and, based on our persuasions, the public reaching out to the city commissioners, has chosen to direct Siemens and them have collaborated together to have the new lighting be 2,700 Kelvin for the neighborhood streets. The state streets are really, state roads are determined, the lighting standard for the state roads are determined by a working standard that the Florida DOT has established. And that is still stuck in the past. And 4,000 Kelvin is the minimum. It's either 4,500 Kelvin plus or minus 500. So they can't go lower than 4,000 Kelvin. I'm going to give you one more name. And this is a name that you should, if you want to be an activist and follow up and really make a big difference. His name is Jim Boxhold. B-O-X-H-O-L-D. I believe in January of this year, the Governor Scott, appointed him to be the DOT commissioner. So he's the head of the Florida DOT. He's appointed by the governor. And they need to hear, they know, like the technician that understands these matters that I've spoken to up in Tallahassee, knows that 4,000 is too high and desires to come down, but it certainly would help if public input could communicate directly with Boxhold so that he went, wow, this is something we need to do something about now, not later. And anyway, what happened was the city of Davis is now in the process of replacing those 650 LED Cobra heads, and that's the standard light fixture is a Cobra head, at a cost of $325,000 in labor and the actual LED lights themselves. So they're taking down all the 4,000 Kelvin and putting in the new 2,700 Kelvins. Why did the city of Davis undertake this? Well, pretty much the same reason that we did, and that is, energy efficiency, reducing the bills for the city, so the cost savings. Now, they were saving 60% from going from the high pressure sodium to the 4,000 Kelvin, 27 watt. They are now saving another 35% going from the 4,000 Kelvin with a 27 watt down to the 2,700 Kelvin with a 19 watts. So this is not only good for your health, better for your health, let's say, but better for your pocketbook and the city's pocketbook, because ultimately, who pays for those city lights? The taxpayers. Okay.
Did you already talk about the relationship between nighttime lighting and crime rates?
There are neighborhood groups, especially here in Lake Worth, that are all about fighting crime. And that's the second thing you can do, is communicate with these groups, saying that, you know, brighter lighting is not, there's no correlation between that and crime reduction.
So there have been studies to prove that?
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, vagueness. So,
Interesting.
anyway, thank you so much for having me.
Anybody have any questions? I'm sure there are questions.
Here's what I do is if you're interested in further in this, and we can draw some people in, you know, some new people in, if you feel, I would be happy to follow up. Now, I'll just say this, in terms of your individual actions, the city has not made any, Siemens nor the city has not made the public aware as to what they intend for the wattage in these 27, they've now said we'll do the 2700 Kelvin lights, but if you have overlit lights, it's going to be bad with, even with the 2700 Kelvin. So the wattage is a critical component of bringing that wattage down, is a critical component of having quality night lighting.